Let's take a deep look into top richest gangsters of all time. If you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe. It helps me to grow and appreciates me to bring more videos for you. So let's. Number 10. Franc Lucas. Franc Lucas capitalized of the heroin trade in 1960s and 70s by using an East Asian connecting during the Vietnam War, cutting off the Italian mafia who controlled the trade in his Harlem at that time. Lucas, originally from North Carolina, employed members of his family to take over the heroin trade in New York and New Jersey. Lucas would claim to have sold $1 million worth of heroin a day in his prime and claimed to have a net worth of over $52 million on top of a large supply of liquid assets, namely heroin. Number 9. Griselda Blanco. Griselda Blanco, also known as the Black Widow or the Cocaine Queen of Miami, was a drug lord for the Colombian Medellin cartel. She controlled the cocaine trade through violence and intimidation, making $80 million of worth during 70s and 80s. Reports claim that her peak Griselda Blanco had more than $500 million. After serving 10 years in jail on drug charges, Blanco would return to her native Colombia. Number 8. Al Capone. Al Capone is perhaps most notorious gangsters of all time and also one of the richest during Prohibition. Capone controlled the illegal alcohol, prostitution and gambling rackets in Chicago, which brought her $100 million a year at its prime. Capone's money allowed him to bribe police officials, judges and even the mayors of Chicago. Unfortunately, he could not bribe the IRS, who convicted him of tax evasion in 1932 and sentenced him to 11 years in prison. Number 7. Joaquín El Chapo Guzmán Lehder. El Chapo is one of Mexico's most infamous drug lords. He is the head of Sinaloa cartel, which smuggles in billions of dollars from Colombia through Mexico and into the United States. Guzmán became rich enough to make Forbes list of 1,000 wealthiest people in the world, as well as their top 60 most powerful people in the world, with a net worth of over $5 billion. Guzmán was jailed in 1993 but escaped from prison in 2001 and is currently number 1 of the FBI most wanted list with $5 million award from his capture. Number 6. Anthony Fat Tony Salerno. Italian mobster Fat Tony Salerno made his millions running the numbers and drug racket in East Harlem after most of Italian mobsters left the area as it became more black and Latino in the 1960s. Anthony Fat Tony Salerno. Italian mobster Fat Tony Salerno made his millions running the number and drug rackets in East Harlem after most other Italian mobsters left the area, as it became more black and Latino in 1960s, making tens of millions of dollars. As the frontman for the Gormez crime family, Salerno was named the America's top gangster by Fortune magazine in 1986 due to his wealth of more than $1 billion and influence. In 1988, Salerno was convicted of racketing charges and was sentenced to 70 years in prison. Number 5. Carlos Lehder. Lehder was one of the founders of Colombian Medellin cartel. While in prison, Lehder met Boston-born drug trafficker George Hong, who helped him import and distribute cocaine from his native Colombia into the United States, accumulating $2.7 billion. Cocaine made Lehder so rich that he owned his own island in the Bahamas and offered to pay off Colombia's debt. Lehder would eventually be extradited to the United States and sentenced to life in prison, which was reduced after he agreed to testify against former Panamanian president Manuel Noriega in 1992. Number 4. Meyer Lansky. Lansky was a Jewish immigrant from Poland who would make a fortune of gambling, both legal and illegal. Lansky would join notorious gangster Charles Lucky and Luciana and Ben Bugsy Siegel to run a gang that would be known as Murder Incorporation. Lansky would later turn to focus on gambling, setting up operations in Florida, Las Vegas and Cuba before the Cuban Revolution in 1982. Forbes would name him as one of the 400 richest people in America. Lansky would be indicted for tax evasion and fled to Israel. He would later return to the US to face charges and was acquitted in 1972. Lansky would die a free man in Miami at age 83. Number 3. Joseph Kennedy. Joseph Kennedy is the patriarch of one of America's most powerful and prestigious family. One of his sons became president, another district attorney and presidential candidate, and another a senator. At his peak, Kennedy was one of the richest men in America, but as the saying goes, behind every great fortune there is a great crime. Kennedy was already in the liquor business before Prohibition, but according to several books and gangsters, became a bootlegger with ties to New York and Chicago underworlds after legal liquor was made illegal. After Prohibition was ended, Kennedy made a fortune of selling legitimate liquor as well as through Hollywood and the stock market. Number 2. Pablo Escobar. Escobar is perhaps the most notorious drug lord of the modern era. He ran the Medellin cartel, which imported billions of dollars of cocaine in the United States. Pablo's money bought him great power, as he was able to bribe officials or have them killed if they don't take his bribe. Forbes magazine named Escobar the 7th richest man in the world with a net worth of $25 billion in 1993. Escobar was killed by Colombian forces with US assistance after he escaped from a Colombian prison. Number 1. Amado Carlos Fuentes. Amado Carrillo Fuentes was the head of Mexican Juarez cartel. He was known as the Lord of the Skies due to his private fleet of planes, including 22 private 727 jet airlines, which were used to import cocaine from Colombia to Mexico, where it was later smuggled into the United States. Fuentes had an estimated net worth of $25 billion almost, and the DEA called him the most powerful drug trafficker of his era. He would die while undergoing plastic surgery to alter his appearance in 1997. So that is a wrap on today's video, guys. If you like this video, please share and help me grow. Subscribe this channel. Thank you so much.